Uh, well, liquid, to me, liquid first, because, they just came out later. But to me, liquid, it was like, it's that, it's a whole, like, the way the soul is. It's made of, like, this molecules that, moves all around, and, basically, if you melt your bones, it's all like energy. And even the bones are, like, made out of energy. That's all. Liquid is energy, basically. Moving energy. Oh, and digits, yeah, they're just like, to, digits kind of look like ripples of, like, like a wave has all these ripples of, flowing energy. Well, I came here in the 90s, and I went to, basically I was living in Queens, and I went to my first club. I went with my friends, my Romanian friends. We went to this club in Palladium, and that was my first club here. And I saw this. I saw freestyle dance. There was like a lot of freestyle dancing back then, and they play like TKA, Maria, and all that shit. So that's my first time when I start seeing like the clubs here. But I was waving from the 80s in Romania. I wasn't that good. But I seen this movie Breakdance back then, and that influenced me. So I started doing waving. We had like school parties in Romania. They make a circle, all these kids, and you dance, go in there in the middle. You dance, you do your thing, then somebody else goes in. But I stopped in the 80s, like around 86, 87. After I didn't see any more movies, and it was like a communist regime in Romania. So you don't see too much from the outside world. So all I used to see was like black and white movies, Charlie Chaplin. They only show this kind of stuff. They wouldn't show nothing about America, or like Europe. So it was, so that was in Romania. When I got here, I got back into it, when I started going to these clubs, little by little. And, well, first time I seen Liquid, it was in Limelight, and it took me a while to understand that there was a rave scene, that there's raves out there, and to me everything in the beginning I thought it was clubs, but I mean they was doing drugs back then too, the same thing, but it wasn't like we didn't know, oh, this is a raver and this is a club guy, So basically at first I first saw this kid doing these things, with like basic waves, like a raving stuff, and I was like, wow, this is cool, I wasn't impressed, but I was like, this is the new thing, I guess, because nobody's seen it before, and eventually in Limelight there was it was like a mixed crowd. It wasn't like ravers. It was all kinds of different people. Even now they still keeping that different type of people in there, and I seen a lot of ravers that would come there. But for me, when I start really seeing the raves, and we'll go out there, like we'll go to Limelight like Saturday, and Friday we'll go to Friday we'll go to Roxy, and that was the spot where like all the ravers would go. That was in New York. That was the spot where like you go outside and you see this huge line of ravers. Everybody huge pants, glasses, all kinds of colors and long chains, and they look dope. Like they look like space they would take the hip hop scene and you put it in space, and then you'd be like, oh shit, look at these motherfuckers, That's how they look. They look like hip hop, futuristic hip hop heads, and they're all like, with their, there wasn't candy back then, like candy ravers. Candy ravers came out later on, back then it was more like a hip hop type of feeling to it, So So yeah, I seen that in Roxy. We went to Roxy one time because a friend of mine knew this, dealer, and he told him, yo, go over here, whatever, So we went there and we seen the place, and the music was like fugazi, like they had like house too, they had like a kind of like a house vibe to that Roxy, and the party was called Together, and a lot of old school heads from New York City know about that party, that was like, for a raver, you go Friday to the Together parties, and then Saturday or Sunday you go to a rave, But the Together party was like the place where you get together and you know your friends or whatever, what's going on, what happened last week or whatever. And that was like the continuation of the NASA parties, because NASA died out and Together came, went back in, took it over. So yeah, and in Roxy I started seeing like a lot of liquid, and basically there was the liquid that I seen in the beginning it was none of this. I mean, it was a little bit of this, like one hand goes and the other one follows, but it was a lot more about like one hand, and it was like those rolls, the figure eight. Everybody was like about this, and going really fast with it, and it was about glow sticks, There was no, you would have done this like, you were dope or whatever, but it was dark and, you wouldn't see too much, and it wasn't about like, how dope it looks or how isolated and whatever. So, we used to do a lot of figure eight and, glow sticks and light sticks, Well, light sticks came later on, because I was the first one that made the light sticks, I mean, they used to have those little ones like that you buy them in the stores, basically I took these pogs that, in Queens they were selling in 99-cent store, these huge pogs, and I put flashlight in them, and I put some tape over them, and, my first time I went to Roxy to one of those Together parties, and when I turned that shit on, these people were like, what the fuck? They were running away, it's like, whoa. And, basically I made that dance with the figure eight type. I took it to the next level because everybody was just going like this, and just going on beat, this, boom, boom, boom. They do a figure eight and then stop, but, we just start doing like figure eight on top of the head, back, rolls, come back up, a whole bunch of other things. So, yeah, that was some of the things that's how I started, Today I usually like go to like I go a lot to Union Square, and I try to keep it alive in Union Square, because after like in the 90s we stopped going to the raves because the situation became really all about the money, all about the they shut off the water in the clubs, people get OD because they don't have water. That's why they OD, it's not like about like because they took, yeah, of course some of them took a lot of ecstasy or whatever, but if they don't have water they're gonna die, and whatever. It was a lot of like weird stuff. So we left the rave scene and we decided to go on the streets, and bring the energy that we had in the rave to the streets, So yeah, I go to Union Square a lot. I go to jams. I'm a lot into hip hop now, and popping and breaking a little bit and op rock, That's what I do. I go once in a while to raves, but not that much, And there's not too many raves in New York anymore, So it's the scene died out,